The year is 249 AD. An escaped prisoner runs through the streets of the city of Nola. The Roman guards give chase. The narrow alleyways hide the fleeing man as he loses them, pausing for only a moment to catch his breath before running back into the shadows. Since the recent ascension of Emperor Decius, the Roman Empire had restarted their long-standing tradition of persecuting the Christians. The escaped prisoner in question is a man named Felix, a full-blown Christian who had sold his earthly possessions to pursue an ordained and simple life. He was imprisoned and tortured for his beliefs, but when an opportunity presented itself, Felix escaped his captors. He had but one thing on his mind. He needed to save Maximus, the beloved Bishop of Nola. Felix running through the streets, his wounds inflicted during his torture burning into him with every stride, and as he neared the residence of Bishop Maximus, Felix found the old man hiding and alone. The bishop was in no condition to escape as he was sick and already frail in his age. Felix had only moments to think as he could hear the armor of the Roman soldiers jingling as they neared close. He grabbed the old man, quickly led him across the street and into a dilapidated vacant home. Just as the two entered the temporary safety of the abandoned building, they realized that they were not alone. A spider lowered from the doorway and hurriedly began weaving a web across the entrance. The Romans neared closer, hurrying their way down the street, all while Felix and Maximus sat in paralyzing fear. The spider continued weaving as the voices of the soldiers filled the alley. The Romans passed by each house, peering in for any sign of their escaped prisoner or the worship of Christ. When a Roman soldier approached the doorstep of the vacant home, he looked in. Felix and Maximus sat in the open, but were unseen. The fractal silk web covering the door confirmed to the soldier that the building hadn't been walked into for some time. He walked away, wishing not to disturb the home claimed by the eight-legged insect. As the clinking of armor went down the street and out of earshot, Felix and Maximus breathed a massive sigh of relief. They had been saved thanks to the threading of a creature usually associated in contrast to all things godly. With their safety secured for the time being, Felix took to tending to the sick bishop. Once the coast was clear and Maximus was up to it, the pair escaped into the countryside. Here, Felix brought Maximus back to his health, all while hiding him from the authorities. The pair's salvation didn't come for another 2 years. Roman Emperor Decius was killed in a battle in 251. His successor ended the Christian persecution, confirming the safety of the Christ worshippers, if only for a moment. And only a moment it was. 2 years after the death of Decius, Emperor Valerian rose to power in 253 and immediately resumed the religious witch hunt. Felix and Maximus were forced into hiding once more. Only one of them would be saved. Sometime after 253, Bishop Maximus died. Many urged his young priest and savior, Felix, to pick up his reins. Despite helping the old man in his time of need and finding the favor of the local Christians, Felix declined the title. Instead, he favored a priest named Quintus, who had no more than a week's worth of seniority over Felix. Eventually, in 255, Felix was once again caught by the Romans, none of his many-eyed friends coming to his aid. He was executed and died a martyr's death, being named a saint for his good deed to Bishop Maximus and his unexpected miracle. His body was interred in his hometown of Nola, where most of him remains to this day, although some of his body parts are in other Italian cities such as Rome itself, as the early Christians loved cutting the body parts off their saints and martyrs to show them off in their magnificent churches. The information that we have regarding St. Felix of Nola is sparse and predominantly from the writings of a bishop of Nola named Paulinus. Bishop Paulinus wrote about the harrowing and silky escape of Felix and Maximus over 100 years after the events took place. Historically, this lessens the credibility of this tale, but it's still a good story nonetheless. Of all God's creatures, one may place a spider near the snake as evil incarnate, but sometimes a book may not match its cover. The feast day of St. Felix is celebrated on January 14th, his proposed date of death. He is the patron saint of spiders, for obvious reasons, and is also the patron saint of lost animals, as he himself was lost, and inversely, saved by an animal. If you want to support this stoic historian, feel free to do so on Patreon for as little as $1 a month and join Derek Clark and Savaclio Nazarian, or become a YouTube channel member, like Derek Clark again, and Donald Vincent. Thank you guys again for supporting the channel. I really appreciate you guys.